Oh, and welcome to yet another bite-size marketing webinar with me, Miles from Miles Marketing. Welcome to you all. Hopefully that there's been no gremlins today in the technology world. If you're out there, please let me know by dropping a thumbs up in the chat or just say hi. That'll really help me out. We are streaming live to LinkedIn, YouTube. If you fancy following my YouTube channel, just search for Miles Marketing. You can do that. And we now convert this onto a podcast, which can be found on all your favorite podcast platforms. This week, we are going to be talking about how to stamp your authority in your niche. Unless you're American, you won't know if you are American, you won't know what we're talking about. So I'm going to say this again with an American slant: how to stamp your authority, or as authority, in your niche. There we go. Hey, who said we were international here? Right, I'm just going to check. Yes. Oh, I've checked the socials and we are there and we are live. So please say hello to us in the chat. It'd be great to get you involved. Let me know if you have look, and I know Laura out there is going to be, she'll have her head in her hands like, Miles, stop talking about niching. Look, whether you think niching or not is a good idea, I'm just going to talk today about how you should stamp your authority in your area. Let's call it in your area, in your specialty. Okay, so I want to crack on because I do quite a long preamble normally, but I want to dive into this to save you hanging around, right? You've got better things to do whilst you're shoving your sandwich into your visage this lunchtime, right? Okay, so let's talk about how you stamp your authority, how you put your stamp on things within your area of expertise, be it an industry or a product and service, right? How to stamp your authority within your niche. I'm going to say this one more time because actually I have problems when I edit these things. I talk a bit too quickly. So I'm going to do a little pause. How to stamp your authority in your niche. Right. The first thing I'm going to say is, what does niche stand for? Well, it's a specialized segment of the market in a particular kind of product and service. Okay, so what we're talking about here is really making sure that everybody knows you as an expert in your field, right? That's what we're trying to get across here. So let's start with some fundamentals about the best way of being an authority or establishing yourself in your marketplace. And I'm going to put this down to you understanding your why, or as we used to call it, your raison d'etre, to be French. Okay, so what is your reason for being? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And it's really important to sort of try and wrap a story around this, I guess, because this is what really is at the heart of your authority, if you like. It's your story, it's your why. And in a crowded marketplace or niche, it's really important that you've got something different to say. So I would say the first place that you need to start is identifying your niche. Okay, so that's going to be identifying your why. There's me getting all thinning the bobbed. I'm just gonna see if is identifying. Okay, I'll edit that out. I just wanted to see if we had people on. Okay, so there's a few people on and watching. So once you've identified your why, I would then look to your competitors and really identify what your USP is, or this is short for a number of things, right? But ultimately it's your unique selling proposition or point or product, or however you want to split down USP, right? It's what makes you stand out from the crowd. So I would look at your marketplace, look at your competitors, and along with your why, identify what makes you stand out, your unique selling point. Okay. Now, I know that a lot of people and businesses have multiple USPs. And what I'm going to say here is this. If you tell people too much, they won't remember anything at all. So try and make your messaging really simple and just give them one of your USPs to, if you like, get them on the hook, to pull them closer to you so you can start having a more in-depth conversation with them. So identify your why, identify your USP, and the one USP that you think makes you stand out in the marketplace, and make sure that that is your main message. So identifying what your USP is the right thing to do, but then make sure that you're consistent with your messaging. So be your own worst stroke best critic and look at all of your marketing channels and ask yourself the question: A, am I getting across my why? B, am I appealing to my niche? And C, am I really ramming home my USP? And more importantly, am I answering the questions that my target market are answering? So be quite critical. Look at your website and think, if I was a person within my niche and I'm looking at my website, am I able to find the answers to the questions that I might have? And is it obvious what this person can do for me? Yeah. So, make sure that your messaging is consistent and your, if you like, your hook is spread all the way across all of your communications. So look at your website, look at your social media, look at on your LinkedIn profile, look at the little descriptor which follows you wherever you go. Whenever you leave a comment, people get to see that little thing. Don't just have sales manager or business owner. Have something descriptive about your USP and your niche, and maybe even your why, right? Being consistent, though, is not just about making sure across all of your channels you are consistent with your messaging. Being consistent with showing up and doing things regularly. One of the big, like, curses, I suppose, of social media is being consistent or being tenacious and actually continuing the good work that you start. So many people record a video, put it out there, and then they don't record another video. Or they might do in a couple of 3 months when they get a sort of an urge to sort of push things on again. If I would, and look, you don't need to do what I do every week at 12:30 on a Tuesday. I go live, right? You don't have to be that consistent. But what I'm talking about here is making sure that if you are posting on social media about your company and your services, then do it on a regular basis. Set yourself a little sort of, I'm going to post once a week, or I'm going to post twice a week, or I'm going to post every day, and make sure that you do that. Okay. Don't let it slide. There's plenty of tools out there which will help you schedule your posts for you. Okay, so we've talked a little bit there about solving your customers' problems. That's a real easy way to stamp your authority within your niche. Maybe your competitors aren't answering the questions that you and their customers have. So capitalize on that. Do a lot of research about what others are doing. One of the things I say on the regular basis is there's no such thing as a new idea, right? So take what other people are doing and works well and adapt it and evolve it for you and your business. The next point is about being visible. All right. Get yourself out there on social channels. Get yourself out there. Be consistent on social media. Send out emails on the regular basis, or maybe you start writing a blog. Make sure you do that regularly. Maybe you have a weekly, monthly, quarterly, biannual newsletter, annual newsletter, whatever your frequency is. Just make sure that you keep it consistent. Think about a sales pack, all right? Because, maybe you are the salesperson, or you may have somebody that goes out and interfaces with your customers. Make sure that they've got something, and I'm going to say make sure you've got something physical to leave with people, because I know we live in a digital world and I know we don't want to waste paper, and just communicating with people over Zoom is fine, and sending them a PDF, if you like, as a digital record of what you're talking about is fine. But when you meet somebody in the flesh, giving them, I'm just going to grab one of my customers' leaflets here, brochures here, but giving them something physical to keep. Not only does it have sort of dwell time, a lot of cynical people will say, oh, it just goes in the bin. I say it goes in the bin if you're not interested in the products and services that are on the brochure, right? If you're interested, then you will keep it. And especially if you're a business which has maybe other shareholders or a board of directors, that piece of material can be circulated around those forums, and it's a way of you being there without being there. But make sure that you've got your why, your USP, and you're answering the questions that those customers are asking on that piece of material. Okay. Editorial, that's another thing that you can have in your armory as well. So when it comes to stamping your authority, well, that's really about being an expert, right? So there are lots of self-proclaimed experts out there, right? Far be it from me to cast aspersions on people who call themselves experts. But if you are an expert in your field, have you teamed up with other people to talk about your expertise? So if you are an expert and you fancy being on my monthly show where I get a guest expert on, next month we've got Sapna, on the 8th, next week, for this month, on the 8th of November, Sapna's going to come along and talk all about how to establish a fab brand. So if you've got an expertise, then why not contact me and see if you can come on this show and share your expertise. Contact others, team up, have collaborations. What about contacting your local radio station or local TV station? The thing is these days that content, it's so important that platforms have enough content to feed their viewers' desires. And what I'm going to say to you is this, that having an expert on to talk about a particular issue is something that the TV stations, national TV stations, right, the morning breakfast shows, the mid-morning sort of chat shows, but also the regional news and current affairs program, they like to have experts on to talk about what they know within their field. So make the production companies aware that you are an expert in your field on a particular subject matter. And when a story arises, you never know, they'll contact you. So TV, radio, local papers, they're all ways that you can get your message out there as being an expert in your field. Anyone out there got any questions? If you have, pop them in the chat, please. I'll be very happy to answer them when we come to the end. Another tip for you here is about being a good connector. So the majority of you are going to be good networkers, And if you don't do networking of any sort and you need more business, I suggest you get out there and do some more networking. But when you do networking, try and be a good connector of people, and try to do it without expecting anything in return. So, you might meet someone at a networking event and you find out what they do, and you might have been speaking to someone the day before that needs their products and services. So put those people together, because there's nothing better than word of mouth for establishing your authority, right? You're going to put someone together and they're going to have a really good, positive conversation about you and what an expert you are in your field. I guarantee it. So I'm just looking at my notes. I'm not ignoring you. Right. So think about your SEO on your website. Now, a lot of people build a website when they start their business, and they very rarely go back and visit it and make sure that it's doing the job that they want to. So if perhaps you have drilled down into your why and your USP, and you've got things that you now want to be associated with that perhaps you weren't when you set your website up, then go back to your developer and talk about the on-page SEO that you can add to the meta tags, if you like, for the keywords. Maybe you need to rewrite some of the copy on your website to incorporate some of the new keywords that you want to be associated with. And also, don't forget, to be critical of your website and make sure that you're looking at it through crystal clear glasses, not the old rose tinted ones. Another thing to stamp your authority in your niche is driving reviews and testimonials. So social proof is really important. So especially if you've got a product, you sell widgets and you want people to know how great your widgets are. A lot of the platforms offer a way to review them, but do you utilize those maybe on your website or on your socials? Things like Google reviews. Have you integrated that into your marketing channels? So I'd suggest that you garner testimonials and reviews from your customers to tell the world about how brilliant you are at your products and services. The other thing, the other tip here is to be active within your niche. So in terms of, being social. So on your social media platform, have you connected with other people from your niche? Do you interact with their posts? Don't think about them as competitors. Think about them as another way of establishing your authority, because people within their circles, I'm burping away, hiccuping away. People within their circles will be looking at their social media, and it's a really good way of you making them aware that you exist. Okay, so be active within your area. Think about regulatory bodies. Can you join an association and be a part of driving forward your specific area? Maybe there are some sort of active groups around or associations. So think about how you can be more active within the wider community of the areas that you're involved with. Right, this is a controversial one. It's about being a disruptor. One of my ex-colleagues from a number of years ago prides himself at being the ultimate disruptor, and allegedly has gone around his career disrupted left, right, and centre, and has made a living from it. And I'm going to say that's absolutely fine. But what I would wield here, if you like, is an area of caution. So by being a disruptor, you not only do you get other people's backs up potentially, but also you can disrupt for disruption's sake. And sometimes it's not the right environment or the best strategy for your business to be an active disruptor. If you think that a fresh approach needs to be taken to your area of expertise, then absolutely embrace that. It can be the very best thing for your business to disrupt a stale marketplace, if you like. But I would suggest that you just enter that with caution. Do your research before you do so, to make sure that actually you don't damage your reputation by being known as the guy that always does, or girl that does things, or person who does things weird and wonderful just for the sake of it, right? Because it'll have a negative effect. Right, okay, so the last one, I think this is the most important and the most relevant for the viewers and listeners out there, is be a thought leader or a content creator, in other words. Okay, start creating a lot of content and a lot of thought in your area. So we've talked about a lot of this stuff already, you know, collaborating, being on forums, but you know, get in front of the camera, do what like I'm doing today, if you like. Start recording and documenting your expertise in your field. Get it out there for posterity. And again, like I said the other week, even if no one's watching, all right, show up, record it, and get it out there. Because even though perhaps no one says they're watching, or you know, maybe you aren't aware of people that are watching, believe me, people are watching, and a lot of the time it's the people that you know, that you very least expect are actually speedily watching you and your progress, right? So get out there, record it, get in front of the camera. So things like vlogs, frequently answered question videos, blogs, maybe write a book, maybe write an ebook, maybe guest on other shows that I talk about, or become a panel guest. On Friday, I sat in front of a room full of international start again. I sat in front of an international group of accountants, both begin with an A, and for an hour and 40 minutes, I was having to answer questions about branding and marketing, as they're an international franchise, which, you know, I thoroughly enjoyed, to be honest with you. But it was nerve-wracking. But however, it was another way of me stamping my authority, if you like, within my niche. The fact that I know stuff about marketing, right? So there we go. That's it for today. How to stamp your authority in a niche. I'm just going to do a quick recap for you. So in summary, I'm going to say, like, overall, identify your why, your USP, and your niche. Once you've found those, be consistent with your messaging and the frequency in which you appear on your platforms. Think about updating your SEO around your niche. If you formed your website a little while ago, revisit that and make sure that it is doing what you want it to do. And then be a thought leader. Be this content creator. Create videos, books, and content, and lots of it. There we go. Thanks very much indeed for watching or listening. Next week on the 8th of November, we got the fantastic, marvelous Sapna, who's going to be with us chatting about how to create a fab brand. If you don't know Sapna, you need to. And if you do, you know it's going to be a wonderful collaboration. So there we go. There's an example of her stamping her authority on her niche. Right, well, with no further ado, you're fantastic today. What is going on? I can't even speak today. Have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you soon.